Back on 2IT Sports, Francis Maxwell, Jason Rubin. As we go, Francis_Maxwell and Jason Rubin 91 on Twitter. We put in the plug early on now because I think that's going to work, and we are shameless about it. Back on a Thursday, plenty of stories to discuss. First one is Ronda Rousey versus Cyborg might actually happen. No, this is not a Mayweather-Pacquiao back and forth for 4, 5, 6, 7. How many years was that? 7, 8 years?
I don't know, but I claimed that it was never going to happen.
Yeah, we did. So, Jason, can you jinx this so that it won't happen and save
Not
it?
bet the farm. This fight will never happen.
That's how we do it. That's how we secure it. So, according to Dana White, this fight is on the cards, and we've got a quote, I believe. Ronda wants to fight her. They'd have to figure out at what weight they'd fight, but Ronda wants that fight. So, this is going to open up a further discussion, which we're going to touch on, because a recent video surfaced, before we get back to how excited we are about this happening, a recent video surfaced where it's a documentary that I believe is coming out, documenting Cyborg's journey and how she has to drastically cut weight at times in order to fit into the weight brackets that suit her. It's pretty disturbing to watch. I mean, you often look at these things and you think, like, we talk about how cool it is for actors to, like, jump up and down weight class, like Christian Bale from The Machinist to Batman, right?
Cool.
I'm not talking about cool.
You're eating like half an apple slice a day.
Yeah, it's about, not as much the word cool, it's just, it's amazing, like, how they're able to do that, and you're forgetting that they'll probably have some supplements to help them, whereas athletes, they can't have those supplements to help them go up and down. They have to try and do it naturally, running in massive, like, space suits in order to sweat out a ridiculous amount. So here we have the video. Let's take that away and we'll come back and discuss.
Chris is a different type of human being. Yes, she's a woman, but she's not an average woman.
She's put so much into this. People are all going to see her make weight and see all that.
Ben Fawkes over at MMA Junkie does a column every week, and the title of his column, one of the most recent ones, if not it was 2 weeks ago, was "Why the Newfound Sympathy for Cyborg's Weight Cut," because there's video of it. And I think he made some good points in that article just in general, because why sympathy now? Oh, because you see it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I'm not sympathetic towards the fact that she has to cut weight. It looks brutal, but that's what it looks like. I mean, it's another standard case of when it gets visualized, people go, oh man, I can't believe that's what the UFC fighters have to go through. If you visualize that before, knowing roughly what it looks like to cut weight, you would have had sympathy for every fighter. But she is a different type of fighter. From what we've seen in her UFC debut, she is the hype, obviously, jumping over to the UFC in the first place. And fighting Ronda Rousey would be the most compelling women's MMA fight of all time. And if they find that weight, whether it be 135 or 140, because Ronda always claimed it has to be at 135 because she's juiced the F up on steroids. Yeah. So they'll find the weight, I'm sure. I know that for a fact, given how Dana White works. There's no way this fight isn't going to happen as long as these two want it, and it seems like they want the fight to happen.
Yeah, it's a great point about when you actually acknowledge that something's happening and you see the video footage. Like, these things have been happening in this sport. People have been cutting weight up and down, but you just assume it's what they're supposed to do because they're athletes. But it's a grueling process. I mean, there's a further video that I can't remember where I found it, but it was similar to Cyborg, and it was just those 3 minutes where she realized that she had to cut more weight after putting her body through all this, and she broke down. She was like just in agony, in tears, putting her body through an extreme amount of grueling fitness to try and achieve her goal of making it into weight class. And she was unique because of her height, her stature, like all these things play into account. Like, you can't just adjust weight as easy. And I think that the UFC, let's be honest here, they haven't made... Well, she's only recently made that transfer over, but notoriously for the women's division, they haven't been as open and flexible in the rules as they have been with the men's when it comes to the weight class. Like, Conor McGregor.
There's only two weight classes, and Dana White has at least currently no plans to add a third.
And that's the difference, is like McGregor just fought Diaz where they had to kind of meet in the middle, and then Diaz was able to basically fight according to many reports, at least 10 or 15 pounds heavier than McGregor. So they made adjustments. So why is it not? I mean, it's up to fighters as well. Ronda Rousey, I think, on this needs to take some ownership and be like, all right, if she can make it to 140, I'll fight her at 135 and 140. Like, yeah, it's easier said than done, but you look at the way that the men's sport is booming, so much so because they're making adjustments. And if you want the fight that much, you'll take the fight 5, 10, 15 pounds if you believe you can win that fight. And I know that weight does have an indicator when it comes to swaying the fight one way or another, but if Ronda Rousey wants to fight Cyborg, I think they need to find some sort of middle ground. They need to find some way.
I don't mean to take anything away from Ronda Rousey, but I would be convinced, and I'd be surprised if Ronda Rousey was a favorite going into the fight, if they do fight. My gut says Cyborg's gonna kick the living crap out of her.
Well, she hasn't. How long has it been since Ronda? That'll be her first fight. What, nearly 2 years?
Nearly 2 years. Yeah, at that point.
Wow.
When she steps in, and I say that because, I mean, I look at. I don't want to take anything away from Ronda Rousey's work ethic, and I don't want to say that she hasn't been training. However, Cyborg has no distraction besides fighting.
Yeah.
That is her livelihood. Ronda Rousey is everywhere else. And after enough time, I feel like she's been pulled a little bit too much towards the spotlight, whereas Cyborg's spotlight is entirely focused on fighting. And I would put my money on Cyborg, which means Ronda Rousey will obviously win because I don't know how to bet on fighting in the first place unless you bet on Mayweather. That's why money's in his name.
But I think you make a good point because she literally has been everywhere but fighting. Ronda Rousey, like she's been on.
Cyborg's been everywhere. It hasn't been anywhere besides fighting.
Well, she's focused. She's one of those fighters that's unique to just putting every amount of energy she possibly has into the fighting game. And I'm not discrediting Ronda for taking other routes. Like, she is going to have a very successful career in the movie industry. She's got a knack for it. She's got a talent for it. She's got the look for it. She knows that that's going to be part of her career in the future. And I give so much credit to athletes that start to prepare for that already. That's why I mentioned LeBron James. He's preparing for that. It's not going to be a natural pushover from LeBron going into the new Space Jam. He's prepared for that.
What's your intentions with my boy? Did you see Trainwreck?
Oh, yeah. Good call. Amy Schumer. I like that movie. LeBron was great in it. He wasn't as good as John Cena, but he was great. John Cena was phenomenal.
John Cena was saying some wild stuff in the movie.
He was great.